Hello, this is a video review of our Chessodoro student. He's playing black. This was a classical game with 1 hour 30 minutes for each player, and it's between 1500 level rating players. So e4, the game started with e4, c6, solid Caro-Kann, d4, d5, and white played e5, one of the popular ways to play. Yeah, the other moves are like knight c3 and so on. c5. This was an interesting choice by the student. It's one of the main lines against this advanced system. So other option is bishop f5. After c5, dc5. White has also some other interesting lines like knight f3 with an idea probably to put the queen here and later develop like this. Okay, so after c5, this kind of reminds me of the French defense advanced variation already. But we have an option to, this bishop is still not closed, yeah, so keep an eye on that. dc5, e6. Well, this is theory. Bishop e3 was played. Another possible move is a3. That's the main line. Some people play queen g4 early on. So many options here, rich theoretical position. So bishop e3 happened. Knight d7. Student said that knight c6 was in his repertoire, but he didn't play this move because he forgot. But I don't think knight d7 is bad. You still attack the pawns, yeah? So knight c6, maybe the theory I checked could be like going like this. White tries to defend this pawn. Then you block the pin. They have to take and now defend in a way with this move, not to lose the bishop, yeah. And an option, nice option, is always this b6 sacrifice. So we sacrifice a pawn, but we gain a lot in exchange, yeah. We get open lines. We have bishop pair against two knights, so black has full compensation in my opinion. Here, other option, queen takes, and again this b6 move, yeah. And we get, idea is always to think about this b6 if we cannot win the pawn back, because we have two bishops. So let's get back to the game. Knight d7 was played, so not bad move, definitely playable. So bishop b5, a6. Student said maybe knight e7 to develop in his comments, but I think a6 we kind of have to play it. It's necessary to regain some pawn, yeah, or force him to give away, to trade his bishop, yeah, for our knight. So I checked other moves. Queen c7 doesn't quite work, yeah. It seems like we're winning back either of the pawns, but actually white can play a very nice sequence here. They can even sacrifice the rook, which we cannot take, as our queen is getting trapped, or we lose more like this. So queen c7, gaining this pawn like this kind of speeds up white's development. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to develop ourselves. So a6 was okay. Bishop d7, bishop d7, all good so far. Opening is like played normally. I don't have any complaints about it. c3, queen c7. Okay, alternative was maybe knight e7 like previously suggested, yeah. And you go to f5, usually like this. Bishop here, and we do again this typical sacrifice. Yeah, keep this idea in mind when playing this variation. Again, b6, typical sacrifice. We make it a pure, yeah, sacrifice. We give up the pawn, and here white can go wrong already. If they go queen d2, that's a weak move. We increase the pressure. Now blunder can happen. b3, bishop here. Yeah, we make a deadly pin, basically winning here. So instead of queen d2, white has to play queen b3. Then we can exchange and play this sort of endgame pawn down, but it's when you look at it, really not a pawn down, yeah, double pawns. White has not much for this pawn. And yeah, we defend the 7th rank, and we include the rooks, maybe bring the king back, and we have definitely enough play and compensation here, because bishop pair against knights, we have open lines, yeah, we have play. So queen c7 was played instead, yeah. Knight e7 we looked at just yet. Knight f3, and you won the pawn back. So that's good. Now we get sort of a French position. Yeah, French position with this bad bishop, so-called bad French bishop. But we also have typical French counter chances with f6 move. So that's our typical break in this position. White played knight d4, which is dubious in my opinion. They need to finish development first before going for such moving this piece twice. Yeah, so knight bd2 was good, knight e7, castles. Let's say this line. Yeah, we're trying to exchange this bishop. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe white has some advantage, but still we have an option of f6 later. So that's how white maybe could have gained something. Okay, knight d4. And you kept on developing. Now here you mentioned that you didn't want to go knight g6, which you were kind of not seeing the prospects of this knight. But I tend to disagree here. I think knight g6 was another alternative. After castle, if you follow up with f6, knight is not actually so bad here. He's supporting the center. Let me show you a sample line here. f6. You see we break up the center, typical French move. Don't worry about weakening. We're playing dynamic here, yeah? We want to break the center apart so we get our own play. And, for example, e5, we free the position. So that was not a bad idea, this knight g6. You played knight c6 instead. Castles, rook c8. You keep on developing, yeah? But I think white played too slowly here. King h1 is... okay, getting out of pin, but it's just too slow. They needed to kind of finish development, but now it's not so easy. You have to do knight d2, you cannot play. This is hanging, so maybe knight a3. Then you castle, and knight c2 was some kind of option for white. Okay, they went king h1. And now I think you missed first chance in the game to really gain something. You played castle, normal move. What about knight takes d4? Yeah, that's why you put the rook here to fight for the c line. So why not do it? Yeah, they cannot really take with the queen because you can quickly invade, yeah, through the second rank, for example. And then you bring the other rook and you have advantage here. Okay, what about c takes d4? Yeah, instead of queen. Then you kind of increase pressure over here. You can even win the pawn. Maybe if white plays correctly, something like this, they can gain initiative and gain the pawn back. But even after that, you have very active endgame, yeah? Rooks are active, bishop is okay here. So, yeah, this knight takes d4 was an option to gain something already. Played castle. And now white played a weak move, knight takes c6, yeah? And as you commented, this gives black what he wants. My thoughts exactly. So he needed to, again, maybe develop, but it's not so easy, yeah? You as black finish development, white is still has these pieces, yeah? So knight c6, you took that with the bishop. Knight d2, he's trying to finish development. You said plan was wait up on this diagonal and maybe open the bishop, yeah? An attack on the queen side. I agree, but here you actually had a chance to open the diagonal. If you played bishop b5 instead. But if you found d4 move, that was an excellent. Maybe you thought you don't have this move, yeah, because of knight b3. But here you have, because you opened the diagonal already, here you have a sneaky queen d5, threatening checkmate. And suddenly d4, this is working perfectly. Yeah, you open this bad bishop, it suddenly becomes a monster, not a bad piece. So, and if d4, if they take, then it's just, this bishop now is superb to the knight, yeah? And white has weakened himself a bit even here. So d4, this was the first big option to kind of, well, we've seen previously, yeah, you had knight takes d4. d4 was a good idea here to gain advantage. So you played bishop b5. Rook come up here. Rook c7. And from here I would be still thinking about this f6 break in many positions from here. This is like a typical French break, as I explained. So queen b3, knight b6. You mentioned that queen a7 is a passive. Yeah, I agree. But queen e7, I think it's not so passive if you prepare f6, for example. Knight d4, f6. Maybe white has something now. because he keeps, yeah, that doesn't take and keeps defense here. But still, you have, I would have played f6 in this position, this break, in many occasions during this game. So knight d4, and yeah, you're saying that you didn't like the knight to appear here, but you didn't want to trade the bishop for the knight. I think this knight is now actually superior to this bishop. This is a kind of bad French bishop now, because pawns are all knight squares. You're kind of closed in behind these pawns, yeah. So I would be actually happy if white took this bishop. So bishop d7, you retreated. Still, I think again f6, yeah. Queen is defending the e6. f6, you said it was, you thought it was a bad move, but I tend to disagree here. I think you're weakening, yes, you're weakening a bit e6. But this is such a typical French move. I think you need to look more on the games, how this move is, how this break is played, yeah. Try to look at some French model games to see where f6 happens and how dynamically then the black plays. So f6 was an option. You went the bishop back, rook b1, rook, yeah, doubling the rooks. So you kind of, we leave this f6 now. It's not happening now at the moment. So and white made a terrible move here. Actually, I didn't mention the times played. So both players played very fast opening, like this was a classical game, remember? And they played opening, even if they were out of books, they play really fast. So I would advise to you, if you're out of book, try to think a bit, yeah. Try to think what's happening in the opening. Try to think some ideas what you're doing, yeah. Don't if opponent plays fast, don't follow him, yeah. Maybe he's playing fast and blundering like this, yeah, like here. So think for yourself always. You have plenty of time, like for opening I would even suggest you think half an hour, yeah, for the whole opening until 15-20th move. So don't rush with opening, yeah. This is a classical game, not a rapid one, so you're playing really fast. Like the tempo of this game is crazy, like only 10 minutes thought for each player. So queen c1 was a terrible blunder, but what happened was you missed it, yeah. You missed that you can win the game on the spot here, yeah. Queen d4, and basically you're winning a piece, yeah. He cannot take back because it will be a back rank checkmate, yeah. So very unfortunate that you missed this chance. You played rook c4, yeah. Then he saw this, of course, came back, and now you're trying to prepare minority attack. Okay, so you missed this, but you still need to play on, recover from blunder, counter blunder, yeah. Okay, he goes for attack, and actually here we have to be careful. Now his next move is probably queen h5, so we needed to prepare for that. We needed to play h6 and maybe somehow defend a bit the king side, yeah, like I don't know, queen g4 here, yeah, get away from some pins, some tactics. But you totally ignored his idea and you went immediately with b5, and now he had a chance. He played a3, but he missed this chance. This was a powerful attacking idea with white. So you see, our king is without defender, so two pieces already attacking, big danger here. We would have to go out of pin, yeah, because queen h6 is threatening. And if you go king somewhere here, f7 is hanging, so king f8. And now if he played until here, he might have found this idea. Then he intends queen g4. Let's say you play before, yeah, queen g4, attacking this. If you go here, he breaks it apart, yeah. So that was a good sequence for white, how he should have probably win the game even, yeah. a3, a5, rook here. Still white had this, queen h5, yeah, a couple moves. So we both missed this idea. And now you finally made this minority attack happen, yeah. You're trying to create a weakness on this side. So you see, this game had two breaks. f6, where you had many chances earlier on to play this, but you made a different break, b4, so that's also good. Okay, rook came back, so I don't know what he actually achieved here. Yeah, he didn't found this queen h5, surprisingly. So queen c5, you're trying to put some pressure on him. And b takes c. I wouldn't rush with such moves, yeah. You're keeping attention. You cannot really take it, yeah. So why rush with it? I would make a prophylaxis move. Yeah, here your back rank might be in trouble, so why not play h6, for example? Then the game could go on. Maybe you take at some moment, he takes back, and then you don't exchange all your rooks. Yeah, you want to keep a pressure on this b2 weak pawn, and black is pressing a bit, I think. So, but you exchange immediately. Yeah, well, that's why h6 was a good move previously, because now you cannot take here. This doesn't work, because then you get pin on the back rank, yeah, and you're losing even here. So this, if you had h6, this would work here actually. So you exchanged the rooks. I would probably make such a move. Maybe play this sort of game, yeah, if you're trying still to win. So rook c3, and now you're forced basically to trade the rooks, I think, yeah. Or you can actually avoid it if you want. If you're still playing, trying some chances, you could have played here just rook a8. And kind of setting even a small trap. If they go with the rook down here, you can actually take the knight. He takes, and now you're using the back rank first, yeah, back rank tactics first. They cannot take, because rook a1 would be checkmate. And you're winning some pawns, yeah. That's queen c4 was needed not to let his queen in later. So, and you're winning some pawns already. So if you're playing for a win, better keep the rooks on the board here, because his b2 is weak. So you played h6, which was a terrible blunder, and the last blunder, yeah, because you lost the game after this. So at this level, yeah, the blunder decides the game still at any level. So rook c8, you missed. You thought that you had the back rank tricks even after the check, but you missed a simple defensive retreat here, yeah. So what you should have played, yeah, I would have played rook a8 here and tried to fight on, yeah, if you're fighting winning. But you see, h6 was needed previously. Always with heavy pieces, you need to make a so-called luft, yeah, or space for the king to get out from any of these back rank tactics, basically. Okay, so let's summarize the game. Conclusion, yeah, opening was kind of okay for you. I don't see anything wrong. Maybe you critiqued yourself too much, but all moves are playable at your level. You played well the opening. Actually, white misplayed the opening, yeah. If we see, he played some very slow moves like knight d4, yeah, instead of developing. That was slow. And then king h1 was slow. Okay, first chance you missed was this d4. No, not first chance. I think here you actually had even knight d4 was the first chance, then to gain the c file, yeah. Then the next one was d4 here. Then of course the game winning idea was here. After queen c1 you had a game winning move. This was like blunder on both sides, yeah. White blundered here and you blundered back by not spotting this capture. Okay, and what else? I would have liked for you to play f6, maybe check up on more games where this f6 is played, yeah, but previously here, before any of these moves, yeah, f6 here maybe. So, but you chose another plan, so always it's good to have a plan, yeah, but no plan. So you chose to move these pawns, which was also okay. So you had some pressure here, but unfortunately you blundered in the end h6, yeah. So why this blunder happened? I think maybe you tried to desperately win the game, yeah, somehow to confuse with tactics, but you overreached here. So this is a very dangerous situation when you're trying to desperately win from any position, yeah. You have to sometime push on the brakes. Yeah, this was kind of drawish position, so you had to play according to situation, not try to over push it and do some unclear tactics, yeah. That's how blunders usually happen. So okay, I think I'll prepare a anti-blunder plan for you, and to increase your tactic vision, yeah, some advices, some resources, and hope you enjoyed, and see you soon. Bye bye.